Tired eyes right now from all the travel and the long days in here. But it's been a lot of spirited debate, and this is what we look forward to. It's why we're all amateur scouts.
Just good news, bad news. The second pick is always nice to have, but it always obviously falls in the work season.
Well, it makes it real exciting during the scouting season because you're seeing the top of the crop. And for me, on a weekly basis, I spend a lot of Friday nights, seeing the college pitching around the country and seeing the best players that we're going to consider up at that pick, and for our second pick there at 41. So when you're always seeing the best players, it's a lot of fun nights, regardless of the crowd.
You're going to narrow the field kind of down to 4. What comes down to the final decision besides who the Astros?
Yeah, I think ultimately, long term, who's going to make the most significant impact on the organization. Certainly, we don't go into any draft drafting based on need. We're only drafting on who we feel is going to provide the biggest impact to our club for hopefully for years to come. So whether you're picking 6 like last year or 2, or a lot of years here in Boston picking late in the first round, that's always the mindset. It's now the player pool changes a little bit, and it changes a lot when you're picking up top.
How much of a factor having interviews with the players and talking to the coaches and backgrounds?
It's huge. Our area scouts do a tremendous job on the background reports. So they spend a lot of time dedicated to that. We spend a lot of time reading them and discussing them in the draft room, in addition to just the on-field evaluation of the players. And for Theo, Jed, myself, and Jaron to get to spend the better part of the last 10 days meeting face-to-face with a few of those kids that we're considering up high, you get a good feeling when you sit across the table from someone and look them in the eye and ask them some pretty candid questions and get honest answers. And we were able to do that, which makes you feel good when you make the selection.
When you see young pitchers exposed to high pitch counts to the internet, does it give you pause at all?
Yeah, but that's we understand that especially with the college seasons, they're playing only on the weekends, and it's important for those college teams to win, and so we get that part of it. I think the hardest part for us in our industry is being the only sport that holds their draft during the college season while it's still going on. A lot of years you end up selecting a player in the draft and the team's playing for another 2, 3, 4 weeks in the College World Series, and then you see them out there for 130, 140 pitches, and you hold your breath a little bit, each time they go out, because you know that you wouldn't handle them that way in a professional environment. But it's what we have to work with. So you get somewhat used to it, but you still hold your breath every now and then.
David was talking about pitchers without coming out and saying you want to say pitchers organizations.
The names that you've heard about, they've gone out and put themselves in position to be considerations up there, and we all know you need dominant starting pitching to have hopefully get to where we want to be and get into the postseason. And, at the same time, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into only taking based on need. We're going to, we've been discussing those players a lot, and like I was just saying, we need to take the guy that we feel gives us the best chance for him to provide significant impact and hopefully get us to where we want to go on a consistent basis.
And doing it quickly, potentially
No,
sooner than later.
In a perfect world that would happen, but last year when we took Albert Almora, I think anytime you take a high school player, you understand it's going to take a little bit longer. But we made that selection based on we felt and still feel that it was the right decision, and Albert in time is going to be the player that we thought he would be. So looking at this year and having the number 2 pick overall. If it happens to be that this guy gets here, knock on wood, he stays healthy, and this player gets here in the next couple of years, great. Hopefully we're talking to you all 4 or 5 years from now, we're saying that was a great pick, and now look at him out here, he's the player you guys all thought he would be, and that would be wonderful.
The NFL is a rookie combine where they have all these measurables. Is there anything comparable to that from baseball in terms of testing?
Unfortunately, no. and it's been a conversation that has had, when I was the scouting director, we meet with Major League Baseball and the winter meetings or our scouting director meetings, and we discussed it for years. But as I was just saying, because our sport holds a draft during the season, logistically, it's just tough to do. I think the biggest thing for us is not so much the on-field evaluation with the 40 times and all that. It's more the medical, because you don't have that kind of medical combine in baseball, and a lot of times you end up drafting players that have a pre-existing condition that you don't know about. You can't give guys physicals before you take them. So that's what we have to deal with as an industry, and unfortunately there have been a lot of times where you take a player and then you bring him in for his physical and figure out that he's got something wrong with his shoulder or knee or something, and you can't go back and redo the thing.
From a development standpoint, Jason, with I know Almora has just started playing, but with Baez and Soler, is there any talk of moving them up at all at any point this year to Double-A?
I mean, we haven't had those conversations yet, and we'll let them just force us to have those conversations, and certainly both of them, well, I'm not sure if you saw Javi had a huge night last night, but that was fun to watch. We had it on live feed downstairs. But those are conversations that Brandon and I and Theo and Jed, we'll talk about we're constantly talking about their development, but more so we look at more on a monthly basis. We'll have a look back at how they perform that month, where they are in their development with their player plans, and as of right now, there are no discussions going on about moving either one of them.
With the number 2 pick, you mentioned picking the best player. How much does the player allotment pool factor in at that pick? Does it much?
I mean, again, this is the new system that we're in, so yeah, ultimately it has a big impact on what you're doing throughout your draft. And I think last year you saw teams take really different approaches to it with what Houston did last year, somewhat what we did last year, and you take college seniors a little later and look for places to save money to spend more of it up front. And then there were some teams that just played it straight and went straight through slots. So I think every organization has what they feel is going to be best for them. And that's still something that we're not going to go into our first selection with that in mind of, well, it's not going to be about signability. It's going to be about the best player for the Cubs. But we do have the player pool to deal with. And I think as you get a little deeper into the draft, certainly strategy plays a part of it.
How many mock drafts have you done in the last?
We actually haven't done one yet.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
that this week? Is that the?
We'll probably, it's kind of different now because I think when you're picking 2, it takes a lot of the whole mocking out of it. So if you have our group of 5 players or so, it's like, okay, in our mock draft, Houston takes player X. All right, we're on the clock. It's a lot more fun, or you can do a lot of strategy type things when you're picking people. So we haven't really done any mocks yet. We've spent really a lot of time on pick 41 and 75, and really we probably discussed number 2 for 2 hours out of the 4 days of the event. So we'll get into those guys a lot more.
Any surprise performers in the minor leagues right now for those of us who write about it?
Kid like Dustin Geiger, he's been really, really just kind of steady under the radar, and he probably gets lost a little bit in the Baez Soler being in the lineup down there. But he's a kid that just had a tremendous month this past month, and he's young too for that league. So he's done very well. Alcantara's been pretty good. He went through a little lull for a couple of weeks in May, but he's been very steady, and he's an exciting player because he's young for being in Double-A, and he plays in the middle of the field. And he can run and hit for some power, which is, if you guys have seen him walking around the minor league complex, he's wiry, almost like a Jimmy Rollins type look to him. So he's been fun, and it's good to see Chris Johnson really having a strong May. Obviously every night we're watching the games on our live feeds, and it's been fun.
Can a potential pick voluntarily disclose their medical information for you guys?
Absolutely, and I mean most of the time we have the medical information. Most of the time, and those instances that I discussed or that I brought up earlier, when you take a player and then you find out, that usually isn't a player hiding something. it's usually something he doesn't even know about. And most of the times it's with pitchers that have some kind of slap tear or something in their shoulders, but is, you know, asymptomatic, they didn't know they had it, and they go get the MRI and then you find it, which I should say most professional pitchers are pitching with slap tears to some degree at some point. But that's usually the case. There have been some instances where a player did not disclose it, and then you go back and find out that he's being treated at his college or whatever, and those are usually times when you get the voided contracts and things like that.
Who's Veronica with?
As far as
Well, he was with Delmora last year.
yeah, well, you know, with the guys up at the top, he doesn't have that guy for him this year, but yeah, all the other guys that have those players that we're considering up there have done a tremendous job, and those players have been, I think when you pick it too, it's hard not to be open and welcoming. So you know, when you bring the bosses in like we did with Steve and Jen, it was really good to see them.
Just two things. Realistically, when you look into it, basically, there's 4 or 5 guys that get the answer to that. And then the second question is, has he found
Yeah, I think as you go into a season, so let's think about, you know, late August, we had an idea we were picking in the top 5, and then September was awful up here. You know, so into the fall, you have that grouping of maybe 7 to 10 guys, and then you go see them in the fall. Into the spring, as the spring started, it was still around 7 to 8. We really hit those players hard, and as you obviously as you get closer, you know, it narrows up on them and during. So now, yeah, we're in that really 4 to 5 guys. King County's working out great. It's quick. When they've had their day games here, we've had the opportunity to go down, watch the 11 a.m. game, and be back in the office at 2:30. You know, so it's been nice, and I think obviously I think they've really enjoyed the affiliation.
We've talked so much about pitching, but how important is it going to be to this organization to draft hitters who get what you're trying to do here?
That's always that's something that we spend a lot of time on, and it's no secret that you know, we really try to champion the plate discipline and on base percentage and all of those things. And it's a lot. You know, we spend a lot of time talking about it here in the draft week, you know, finding hitters that fit that mold for us. But you know, there are a lot of times the guys that are those guys don't offer a lot of other things. You know, so you got to balance when you find let's say a college player who's been the on base percentage machine. You know, oftentimes he doesn't run, doesn't play defense, no power. You know, so. But it is something that organization-wide, you know, certainly even from the major leagues on down, you know, we're preaching and we're trying to preach it in the draft, find those types of hitters. It's hard to go in and see a kid in Michigan that's 17 and predict that he's going to be a plate discipline guy. So, you know, you look at approach and things like that. But yeah, I think one thing we've all, and you guys have been writing about it a lot, is talking about is the run differential of the major leagues. You know, it kind of points directly at maybe we don't get on base enough when we're getting those extra base hits and the home runs and those things.
Fascinating.
Cool.
Thanks.
Good luck.